In a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the intersection of politics and entertainment, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani reportedly came close to appearing on one of television's most iconic sketch comedy platforms during his campaign. According to sources familiar with the discussions, Mamdani's team had pitched the idea of him appearing on Saturday Night Live, potentially offering the relatively new political figure an opportunity to showcase a lighter, more improvisational side outside the confines of City Hall. However, the proposal ultimately did not move forward. Insiders indicate that the show's longtime executive leadership decided against the appearance for creative reasons, opting instead to rely on seasoned comedians to portray the key political figures of the moment. In the end, comedian Rami Youssef took on the role of Mamdani in a sketch that aired on November 1, 2025, centered around a fictionalized New York City mayoral debate. The segment also featured Miles Teller portraying former Governor Andrew Cuomo, alongside comic Shane Gillis as Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. Despite not appearing in person, Mamdani embraced the moment publicly. He later shared clips and reactions on social media, including a video of himself laughing during a FaceTime call with Youssef, who remained in costume during the exchange. Playing into the humor of the situation, Mamdani joked online about being roasted on the show, signaling a willingness to engage with the portrayal rather than shy away from it. Sources suggest that discussions had extended beyond Mamdani alone, with conversations at one point considering appearances from multiple mayoral candidates. However, these talks were exploratory in nature, reflecting a broader tendency within the show to consider featuring high-profile figures who dominate the news cycle. While those plans did not materialize at the time, insiders indicate that the door has not been fully closed. There remains openness, at least informally, to potential future interactions, including off-air meetings. Since Mamdani's election victory in November, there have reportedly been no renewed efforts to secure him a spot on the show. Still, some observers speculate that alternative avenues, such as a musical guest appearance, could theoretically be explored. This possibility draws on Mamdani's lesser-known past in music, during which he performed under the moniker Mr. Cardamom. That chapter of his career, however, did not gain significant traction and has occasionally resurfaced in public discourse due to controversial lyrical content tied to politically sensitive topics. The idea of politicians appearing on the long-running comedy show is far from unprecedented. Over the decades, several high-profile public figures have hosted or made cameo appearances, often blurring the lines between governance and entertainment. From former New York City mayors to presidential candidates, such appearances have historically served as both publicity opportunities and cultural moments. Yet, the landscape may be shifting. Industry insiders note that recent regulatory changes could complicate such appearances going forward. A newly implemented Federal Communications Commission rule, known as the Equal Time Rule, now requires broadcast stations to provide equal opportunities to candidates competing for the same office. Introduced on January 21, 2026, shortly after Mamdani assumed office, the regulation could make it more difficult for programs to feature individual political figures without extending similar opportunities to their opponents. As a result, the casual, high-profile cameos that once defined certain moments in political pop culture may become less frequent or require more careful coordination. For now, representatives for both the show and Mamdani have declined to comment on any past or potential future booking discussions, leaving open the question of whether the mayor might eventually make his way onto the famed stage, either in person or as inspiration for another comedic portrayal.